No one went there except ostriches and ostrich hunters. The Iblis Stone. It sounded ominous. It sounded powerful. If the Emperor was searching for it, it must be dangerous. And so, Bernardo went ostrich hunting.
Il y aura encore des nouveaux monstres, je pense. On a encore 2 vérités à apprendre. Il nous en manque donc encore 2. Voilà. Il y a 24 possibilités en tout.
Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away. Were all these things the Iblis Stone? Long hidden in a buried temple? Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now? Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals? I wonder what I could make with all these sword crafting materials, thought Bernardo.
De crafter des épées. Oh, intéressant. Du coup, j'ai une épée pour la vie et une épée pour l'attaque. Et si j'utilise là... Ok. Ça utilise aussi quoi.
Bernardo distrusted doors that opened automatically, especially after being buried for millennia. Was this some sort of trap? Oh, long live the Emperor! Called the ravens.
Ok, non mais il y a un truc assez bizarre là. Oh super, j'ai 50 HP sur 100. Juste pour me compliquer le truc encore plus quoi.
Is that your shield?
Ouais, alors attends. Ouais, salut. Non, mais...
Where Bernardo went next, we cannot follow. Yet.
Ah, c'est compliqué. Encore 2 coups. What? D'où mon personnage il bougeait pas? Il me reste aussi HP.
Cawing in frustration, they were still searching for a way in. Good. And he hadn't come too late. Smashing things was fun.
pense que ça peut être intéressant parce que ma magie d'épée, franchement, elle est trop basse. Je peux survivre à 3 coups. Merde, il va l'améliorer. Ah, ça y est. Ok, un corbeau de... Ah, encore on peut les tuer. Comme maintenant. Non mais... Donc eux c'est vraiment les plus importants à lutter.
Dreams may come, he thought. And then he found out.
Ah, maintenant c'est plus à 66 mais à 74. Du coup maintenant j'ai plus d'énergie pour sauter, du coup on va attendre un moment. C'est pas mal chaud. Alors attends juste. Ah cool. 3, 2, 1, go. Ah ça m'a arrêté mon jeu pile au moment où il y en a 2 qui me fonçaient dessus. Non mais en fait c'est vraiment très compliqué. Bon allez.
Harry danced around the room yelling, oh yeah, that's how we do it. It was something he liked to do, but only after he'd killed all the witnesses.
Donc j'ai pas l'épée de c'est cool si t'as le pass, c'était pas lire combien déjà. Enfin bon, tu vas pouvoir bien faire tous les défis, surtout qu'il y a les derniers défis qui arrivent. Tu vas... Si ça se trouve, dès aujourd'hui, si tu joues des masses, t'arrives à avoir le skin road trip. Tiens, d'ailleurs, tu pourras me dire. C'est possible.
He felt like Tarzan.
Yes. Maintenant, je peux enfin ouvrir cette porte de feu. Je me demande si elle reste ouverte. Ah oui. Oh, il y a une gemme. My first gem.
He wasn't that good. Yet.
Allez, un kamikaze. Voilà. Hop, on monte. Aïe. Ah, je crame. Mais c'est hyper chaud. Le truc de feu là en
The
fait.
Ravens at least could not get past this point. Obviously the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders.
Ouais, ma santé max. Ce serait pas mal de l'augmenter. Mais
Cool. Wish I could do that.
oui, là-bas en bas, je vois plein de trucs de grappins à faire. Mais dire que tout ça, je peux pas le faire normalement. Ouais, 8. qui font 22 dégâts à chaque fois, en avoir 80 ou 88, bah, ça change tout quoi. Oh non mais super. Oh bah merci. Non.
This couldn't be good for global warming.
Aïe 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 aïe. Et
It was
voilà.
a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up. Who said
Mais
that?
alors là,
It was the stone,
ah super.
eager, thirsty. That
Alors,
seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once, and Renato wasn't sure he really wanted to be Emperor. Why not capture the core of Sky Ripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the transcendent Emperor to power his
bah
greatest
voilà,
weapons,
maintenant on pourrait tout.
said the stone anxiously.
Et il faudrait qu'on essaye, ce serait cool. Mais là on va plutôt aller vers le noyau. Hmm.
The stone bothered him. He hated being told what to do. Wasn't that why he joined the rebellion? Wasn't that why he'd refused to be a soldier? He'd agreed to come on board only if he could freelance.
The stone felt a bit clingy. The sage Calaveras had told him where to find the Sky Ripper, a weapon capable of challenging the gods. Even with the core would still possess great power. He would go there.
The moment he landed the Farfarer, Renato had a rare feeling of regret. It's not too late, he thought. He could turn around and sail for Zenobia's island. He frowned. Wait a minute. He didn't want to kill Zenobia, did he? Sure, technically she was the enemy, but they'd been at Sword Food School together. They'd never been lovers, but somehow they'd been closer. She'd told him every secret about herself. Except the biggest one. That she was the Emperor's daughter. No. Kill Zenobia, whispered the stone.
Ah, ça c'est cool.
Before it's too late.
Attendez juste 2 secondes. J'ai éteint la TV. Bon. Le temps qu'elle s'éteigne complètement, que je la rallume. Oh, ouais. Patientez un petit moment. Ok. Vas-y, je m'attendais pas à ça. Ça redonne de la vie que tu es des ennemis, ça redonne pas de... C'est trop bien. Ça redonne pas de l'énergie, ça redonne de la vie. Genre 3 de vie.
There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time.
Tu nous l'as déjà dit, ça, mais c'est pas très grave.
That was always a rush.
C'est pas grave, je me mets KO. What? Oh, le bug que j'ai fait. Bon, eux, ils ont one shot le lapin, du coup.
The stone hadn't lied about what it could do for him. With each raven he cut down, he felt a jolt of power flowing into his
Ah,
arm.
donc c'est la pierre.
Whispered the stone. The core will kill you. Are you afraid of it?
Don't be ridiculous. It chuckled. But it's unstable. It will poison you so much as carry it. And if you try to use it, it will explode catastrophically.
Reynardo did not trust rocks that talked in his head. He went onwards. No one could beat Reynardo at hot potato.
Big chest. Oh yes, encore une... Cool. Voilà comment on a les gemmes. Donc ça c'est pas...
Of course there was a puzzle. You couldn't expect a transcendent emperor to bury a god's eye in a leather sack where anyone could pick it up.
Leurs casse-têtes sont jamais très compliquées. Je sais pas, ils ont pas beaucoup d'inspiration pour les casse-têtes.
Reynardo could feel his fur singe.
Non, c'est pas la bonne épée ça. T'as utilisé l'épée de faux? Ok. Donc, je peux gagner de la vie. De deux manières, quoi. Je tue des ennemis,
Check. Pointy?
je gagne de la vie.
Flexible? Check. What else do you need in a sword?
Ah tiens, on n'a pas pris le même
As he
chemin.
approached the core, the stone became hysterical. He had a sudden vision of plunging his gauntlet into the core and dying in anguish. That wasn't his vision, was it?
The stone had sent him its darkest fears, hadn't it? He had a sudden impulse to do exactly that. He raised his right fist and plunged it into the core. There was a rush of light. He thought he could hear the stone screaming. And then he passed out. When Ronaldo came to, the core was gone. But the Iblis stone was no longer black, but glowing with a blue light. And it was silent. I can't hear you, he sang out. And you? It didn't answer. Ha, he said. He had defeated the demonic gem with the power of his mind. He felt invincible. It was time to attack the Imperial outpost on the Nexus. Take the battle to the enemy. But among the huge crystals, there was also an observatory. A wise man would probably ask the scientists exactly what he had first.
Toujours aller voir les scientifiques.
How wise was he?
On attaque, on peut exploser le monde, puis voilà, c'est la fin.
As the Farfarer made its way toward the Nexus, Ronaldo watched sparks fly out of the core. The Iblis stone sucked them in hungrily. You'd think the stone would want this kind of power, wouldn't it? Thought Ronaldo. Well, the scientists would explain it all. This time, Ronaldo was sure he'd figured out how to use the core safely.
Ouais, il y a eu le petit truc là qu'on avait déjà fait. Ah oui, oui. Donc maintenant il sait comment l'utiliser. Ok. On avance, on avance. Ça se trouve déjà dans la 3e aventure sur 24, c'est la bonne. Vous vous rendez compte de la probabilité était 1 sur 24. Hein. Ouais. Mais ça veut dire que la première fois, il y a moins de probabilité que la deuxième. Ouais, non.
See? He'd trusted his gut, and it had worked out. That's what it meant to be a hero. To ignore the naysayers and the odd makers and do what you knew was right and have it turn out to be the right thing. Well, he wasn't worried. Once he got to the observatory, the scientist toads could explain it. Then he could carry the war into the enemy's camp and destroy them all. Oh dear, he was getting a little bloodthirsty, wasn't he?
Normalement, on devrait pas trouver.
When Ronaldo went to the china shop, for some reason the owner was always nervous.
Là, j'ai plutôt envie d'avancer dans l'histoire. Là, je suis tellement dans le jeu.
What else could you hook?
Voilà, là j'ai la bonne épée. De toute façon, t'es censé avoir cette épée. Toutes les autres portes font du bonus. Du moins, ça peut te donner du bonus. Ça peut aussi te donner des ennemis, je pense. Parce que quand j'en tue un, ouais, ça me donne 6 de vie. Pourquoi j'ai toujours un sondage de vie? Pourquoi il y a des seins à peu près partout autour de moi là? Parce que j'aime pas, je vois pas très bien le jeu. Et que je suis full vie. Voilà, il suffisait de manger un petit peu. En fait, il crevait juste la dalle. Comme d'hab, quoi. Genre les seuls trucs qui nous tuent, c'est le fait qu'on meurt de faim, quoi.
Well, no sense collecting more materials. It was time to make something pointy.
Ok, donc on peut fabriquer une autre épée.
Renato had never felt better in his life. Normally, a battle would wear him down and he would need a night's sleep. Now he felt like he could go all night and all
Oh,
day.
en même temps, ça
He felt
redonne
like
de la
people
vie.
were cheering him on and he could practically hear their applause as he slew one raven after another.
Ça te redonne de la vie, c'est normal. Tu te
The
sens bien, tu
Imperial
peux
fleet
continuer.
was closing in on the rebels, forcing them to come out and fight. Renato was itching to bring the fight to the enemy. He had to remind himself not to be too reckless.
Oh, on peut tous les craft. Par contre, j'aurais pas cette cristaux.
This sword from the mystical east could make time itself slow for you.
J'ai qu'une info. Encore beaucoup. Et c'est stylé celle-là. Ah, ça c'est cool, cool, cool.
There was a sign. Take the goat across first.
Ah ok, j'ai bien pris cher là. Oh, c'est trop bien. Genre c'est la fin du combat, mais il y a encore du combat quoi. Trop bizarre. Je fais un petit bug là. Voilà, ça on en a tout le temps, besoin. Mais genre regardez. Ça améliore aussi les dégâts. C'est hyper pratique. Ça en consomme pas mal. Bon, avec ces épées, franchement. D'ailleurs, je n'ai pas encore réussi à bien cramer les ennemis. Bon, c'est pas trop mon truc. Oh, j'ai failli réussir à tomber dans le vide.
The toads at the observatory measured the stone with their occult devices. I fed it the core of Sky River, explained Renato. No more feed blood and souls.
But the core is not an unlimited energy source,
Said one toad. Another said,
There's a feedback loop, you see, which could overload the stone. The stone doesn't actually feed on souls,
claimed a third.
but on pain of killing another sentient being. If you can truly be at peace with yourself, it would not overload.
This was all very confusing. At peace? Yes, the mountains were peaceful and quiet, but he now had the power to turn the tides. He should report to the Rebellion Council and prepare for the decisive battle.
Bah écoutez,
The one thing he understood from all the toad arguments Maybe the stone did not feed on blood, or souls, or rage. It fed on empathy. It fed on the pain he felt when he put an end to another being's existence. Even if that other being was a raven intent on killing him, if he could find peace, then he could use the power of the Iblis stone without being taken over by its evil. The mountains. He would go to the mountains. He could find peace there.
Super si on va juste marcher, hein, mais je crois pas qu'on va juste marcher. Je crois qu'on va même se fight. Dans tous les chapitres on se fight, écoutez.
Unfortunately, the mountains were not empty. There were ravens everywhere. No matter. He had to fight, yes, but he didn't have to be angry. Parry, dodge, slash, and breathe. Yes, focus on the rhythm, the dance of it, not on the blood or the raven's core as they died. Ah, it was working. He wasn't feeling those dark jolts of eldritch energy. He wasn't feeling the Iblis stone.
Attends, mais on va faire ça avec ça. On va faire un truc. Hein.
Who made all these ore chests anyway? Well, you could have quite a business doing that.
Genre pourquoi on tombe sur des corbeaux améliorés? Il y a même pas eu de mirage, attends. C'est super. Ah, les seuls qui peuvent me one shot encore. C'est les corbeaux améliorés, il n'y en a plus que 2. Ouais, voilà, il Cool.
The stone was still silent. His mind was his own, and his heart too. He bore them no ill will, these ravens. They were doing their job. They were expressing their nature. Dance, whirl, parry, jab, and breathe. It was all so simple, wasn't it? Something was missing. He didn't feel truly at peace. Wait. Wasn't this near where Calaveras lived? The sage would help him figure it all out.
Moi, tu peux faire ça pour tuer un corbeau. Tu vois la paix intérieure.
Oh, this really didn't have much in the way of safety features, did it?
Logique. D'ailleurs, je pense que j'aurais pu me barrer.
Okay, let's get this over with, and we can all go home. Well, not you, just me.
I'd have hoped his mother wasn't watching.
J'ai toujours pas la bonne munition. Je peux la prendre, mais bon, je l'ai pas fait.
The Iblis Stone, silenced by the Sky Ripper's core, had given Ronaldo enough power to challenge the Imperial fleet. But what Ronaldo was seeking was inner peace. The rebellion was on the verge of extinction. It would have to wait.
Mais non, mais il restera toujours toi dans la rébellion, même si t'es le seul. Ouais, donc là, il faut bien descendre dans le seuil de combat, mais bon.
At the end of the mountain path, he found the wise Calaveras in his workshop. "Do you fix souls or only artifacts?" he asked the sage.
Does your soul need fixing?
Asked the sage. "I've been killing a lot of ravens lately," he told the sage.
You're a fox,
said Calaveras.
and to kill birds is part of your nature. Take joy in it. I mean, I might as well worry about eating flies. Don't you like a fly?
It was true. That's what he had forgotten. The joy. Now he was ready for the final battle. The Farfarer cut through the clouds. The air had never felt so sweet since he was a child. There it was. The dreaded Imperial fleet. You could smell wet.
Et là, on peut le faire. On peut peut-être le faire. Peut-être.
And ravens.
On va encore se faire tuer, je sais pas comment,
Even
mais...
the fleet smelled good, somehow. He was ready. He was ready.
Il te dit 2 fois, il était prêt, mais bon. C'est pas grave.
Renato had it all squared away in his head. He would kill the Emperor. Isengrim III had begun well, but he had gone mad. He was trying to invoke the lost gods by means of dark, blasphemous rituals. That was a secret. But the victims had spoken to Renato. The ghosts had spoken. No. No anger. Renato could not afford anger. It was empowering the crystal in his sword. That made him stronger, but it clouded his mind. He would not be a hero. A hero strives. Renato would just be one with everything. The Emperor would die, and the wheel would turn, and all would be restored without rancor, without sorrow, without pain. Not everyone knew how to use magical gems. Of course, not everyone had magical gem gauntlets like he did.
Ah, on va encore se faire un petit saut là, non? Non, j'ai quand même pas loupé mon bateau. Ah non, j'ai pas loupé mon bateau, moi. Non, 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 non. J'ai loupé mon bateau. Plusieurs quoi. Voilà. On voyage, on navigue.
He once met a pirate captain. He used hooks to get around his ship. Oh, what was his name again?
Je crois que...
But the more he thought about it, and he had so much more time to think about it now that he was not worrying about the battle, killing the Emperor would not change anything. Another would take his place. Perhaps Zenobia. Perhaps the Speaker of the Rebel Council, and power would corrupt them too, and death would make grief, and grief would lead to hatred. He must lead by example. Reject the violence. Reject the desire to create violence. But how?
Ah, avec des kamikazes.
Unwounded.
Ah, j'ai gardé mon calme. Ça faisait même un peu plaisir, un peu de combat, parce que là... Ah ok, j'ai pu l'utiliser. Le grappin sur eux. Ah, je les ai déglingués. Wouhou! Ça sert à rien. Même si moi, j'ai la joie que lui non. C'est pas pourtant qu'on y arrivera. Allons tuer l'empereur.
Really needed a roof.
Un petit peu de fight. Non, pas tout de suite. D'accord, on va s'en faire un petit peu quand même. Hein, pour fêter la fin. Un beau petit fight qui nous attend là. Regarde ce que j'utilise, je le récupère en un seul coup. Toute l'énergie que j'utilise. Et encore le kamikaze.
Finally, he came to the Emperor's ship. The path behind him was strewn with dead ravens. The path to enlightenment. His mistake, he realized, was trying to change the world. The world would spin and the wheel would revolve whether he strove against it or not. What he had to do was nothing. He had attained enlightenment. He sat down, adopted a full lotus position, and began to meditate. And all around him, the warriors stopped fighting too. They knew. They could feel his enlightenment. They gave up fighting, dropped their weapons, and became his disciples. No, just kidding. The nearest raven stabbed him with a sword and then chopped off his head. I might not have thought this through properly. Thought Renado's head as it rolled around the deck and died.
Mais non, mais c'est drôle, hein.
Just like that.
Ah oui, ça c'est la pierre.
Again. And back on the Farfarer, still fleeing burning Ubar. The book was still open before him. So,
après on débloquera le cadenas.
The book was a portal. It took you to the future when your destinies would branch. He had failed and died
ouais, le troisième,
3 times, but he learned another true thing. The Iblis Stone was evil. It would try to corrupt anyone who used it.
Mais sinon j'adore cette fin quand même. Je vois faire, voilà, j'aime trop. Ah cool. Allez méditer. Mais oui, mais peut-être que si je vais pas méditer, je les tue. Peut-être que si je vais pas méditer, hein, parce que là j'étais en train de méditer en plein combat.
But he was starting to feel like he was getting the hang of this. There was a way through to victory. He could feel it. He just had to keep running the path of Destinies. With that, the book fluttered back to the beginning, and he fell into it. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas.
Oh non, mais ça j'en ai marre, il dit tout le temps la même chose et c'est très long.
The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the
Mais parce qu'en fait on va pas très bien. Ah, on a des trucs.
secret rebel base.
Cool.
They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced.
Donc ça, on sait déjà, on a la vérité. Vous voyez, à droite, en bas à droite, on a la vérité.
But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, A
Là aussi,
temple
on a
had
la
risen out of
vérité.
empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. On the other hand, his
Et
old
donc,
friend
c'est
Lapino
ici qu'on
needed
a la
rescuing.
vérité.
Lapino was no game changer, but could Renato really leave an old friend to the Ravens?
Bon, écoutez, on va s'arrêter là pour le live, comme d'hab. Allez, ciao. Prochaine fois, Lapino.